Alright, hey guys, welcome back to another video. I think I missed last week's video, I was kind of busy, but yeah, we're back again today, and thank you again for all the follows. I believe again the market was a little bit in a turmoil, and we kind of expected it. I think I mentioned in two of my videos before this one that we're sitting on a lot of cash, and we expect the market to drop, and even Bitcoin. And in general, just stocks were crazy in terms of the evaluation. And I bet Michael Burry's 1.1 billion short is doing really well right now in terms of betting against all these different stocks. But yeah, so coming to this week, you know, as we expect, the market's in extreme fear and there's quite a lot of selling. But as expected, we're just sitting with a lot of cash and looking for opportunities and scanning the market. And so coming to scanning the market, it was kind of sucky because the one post that we did this week, aside from Ticker Tuesday, was about a stock that we've been watching for about, I would say, a month, and then our strategy picked it up. Uh, Sorry, our scanner picked it up about a month ago, but our strategy was giving signals from July. So I'll show that in the chart, and it was kind of sucky because the move happened really fast before our strategy could confirm because we were waiting for a weekly close, but the move was already happening during the week. So I'll go over that in detail. But what I found interesting though is, Bitcoin's dropping quite a bit, and I think we also mentioned in our video that we want to see a drop. It doesn't make sense to do the buys a couple of weeks ago when it was at its all-time high, which I found really interesting because there was a lot of people on Blossom Social that I saw were buying Bitcoin at those all-time highs, which didn't make sense to me, but that's just my opinion. But what I was trying to get to is couple of years ago, just before the previous bull cycle, I remember talking with one of my friends, and we were talking about computing, quantum computing, sorry. And how with quantum computing, if they ever get to the point where it's actually feasible and it's workable and it's something that you can just switch on and use, one of the things it can do is break the encryption for crypto and Bitcoin and Ethereum. But the other scary thing is if it can break that kind of encryption, that same encryption is used for banks and for governments and for passwords. It's all based on that same elliptic encryption. And what I found ironic is just the timing of this post, which is will quantum computing break Ethereum and Bitcoin before 2028? And yeah, these guys, they were like, we asked ChatGPT, but this is what was the more interesting one. The Ethereum co-founder Vitalik Buterin, he just reignited that debate over Bitcoin and Ethereum and how the era of quantum computing could actually um, affect these major cryptocurrencies. So I mean, it's just the timing, right? So all this time everything was euphoric, and now everything's dropping, and lo and behold the posts start coming out, which is so cliche, but it is something interesting to think about, right? Because I mean, they asked ChatGPT, they even asked Grok, which was Elon Musk's AI thing, and they said the same thing, your bank, your passwords, your government data, all those, which is kind of funny, but because it runs on the same encryption, that same elliptic curve, or yeah, elliptic curve cryptography, which is yeah, this one over here. So so yeah, it is something interesting. I personally don't think we're to the point where quantum computing could actually uh, be functional, I guess. But you never know. With the pace that everything is moving now, and then with AI as well, um, it could come faster than what people think. So it is interesting to see how that would affect, and would the would the technology people behind all these different cryptocurrencies actually start changing and make it more resistant to quantum computing. So just something interesting as a side note. But anyway, so going to Ticker Tuesday, we only had one post today, so thank you, Sing, for that GPUS. And we'll go over that quickly because we did go over it a week ago, I believe. In terms of the chart, I think this is when we saw it originally. I mentioned that, we're looking to see if it can hold this low, but unfortunately it didn't, and it broke below that as well. And I think in the video I was mentioning that we want to see a reversal or a break, right? And so because this is quite a small stock, it could move really fast. So, scenario one is it just shoots up straight like that because of some news. Or what we want to see, I guess the perfect setup would be a little bit of a reversal, bounce back to the bottom, and then shoot up. And that low holds, and we have a higher low, which would mean that there is, a little bit of a reversal happening. But what was interesting is also the chairman bought some stock as well, which was $61,000 worth, 259,000 shares at 24 cents. And it was filed on the 20th of November, which was pretty recent. So maybe that's why we got this massive jump on the day for 21%. We're still negative on the week, 9% down. But it is interesting. And so I guess now I would watch if that low, which would be 20 cents, holds. And do we see some bounce, or like how I said, the two scenarios. So that's my take on GPUS right now, just watching. And I would be careful because the drops are quite big, right? Like if we look at, oops, the drops from even the previous low from the strategy, that's 47% drop. So that's quite a bit. But anyways, that's my take. So in terms of the public ones, BWMX is holding well. We're, I think, up 52%, which is nice. And we're also getting those dividends. We'll see how the stock does in earnings next year. And yeah, just watching and holding the stock. Neo, we're in the negative because I think we bought it around 659 or 660. As mentioned, we were trying to see if we can break that high. It's coming down. What I would say I'm a little bit concerned is we've got a lot of bigger red candles right now. I'm trying to see if it will hold this support. I think we're down like 15%, and so yeah, it's getting a little bit interesting, and earnings is right around the corner, which is next week. So if it does well, we'll probably see some consolidation. But what we're really looking for is that break above that 771, which would then push it up quite a bit in terms of the long term. Again, these are weekly candles, right? So we're looking quite far, zoomed out. So yeah, Neo, a little bit concerning, but I mean they're doing good fundamentally in terms of getting uh, what was the word? They are, sorry guys, um, something in terms of their growth numbers in terms of how much they produced, I believe, was good, but yeah, in terms of the chart, I just don't like seeing three red big candles, and no reversal, or no not able to hold, right? So we'll see how that goes. With Tilray, we are out. It hit our stop loss, so that's their little stop loss over there. I think it was plus 10%, so that was a good run, because that was almost I believe that was a 179% run, which was amazing. WTTR, this one I mentioned in the video to set up a stop loss because I didn't like how the candles were forming, and yeah, now it's broken even past a long-term support. So it'll be interesting to see how this holds, and if it's able to reverse and keep moving up. But yeah, so finally the stock that I actually wanted to get to, which was Sigma Lithium. So we saw the stock, I think 20 29th September. Yeah, the week of the 29th September is when we first saw the stock. And this is when it broke a major long-term support. And we were just waiting for some backward momentum. So that's basically watching the price as of today versus the price over a period a while ago and seeing if it's able to break the momentum on the same support and resistance lines. And so we were just waiting for that. In terms of the strategy, we were picking a lot of buyer momentum all the way back in the week of June. And you can see, a lot of buyer momentum and a big flush, a little bit of a consolidation, and then again a big flush, again some more, and a big flush. And so it was in hindsight, it was just a lot of buyers stepping in and hiding their position and just preparing like a coil, preparing for the squeeze. And so I could have gotten earlier, but the risk of that, because you could have these same setups where it's calling and then break down as well, right? And so the same way as how you have these big drops, right? Because that's a 28% drop on the week. That's another 16%, another 15%, and then just before another 18%. So quite a lot of major weeks where there's just a lot of selling. But unfortunately, it broke above the backward momentum broke above on this candle during the week, and so it had already made its move. So I think from the top of that, that was a 78% move, and we're sitting now at a 50% gain if you did buy over there. Another interesting fact is it gapped up. So even if we did have a buy over here, probably wouldn't have been fulfilled because of that gap right there. So yeah, that is what is happening as of now. So what are we looking for in the future? Fundamentally, lithium is looking as looking good in terms of the forecast for 2026, the first half, because there's such a huge ramp in demand, and so these producers or these miners have to do a lot of production, and they're holding, especially Sigma Lithium, they're holding how much lithium they have to basically sell at a good price rather than having a lot of these volatility swings in terms of um, the lithium price. What also I find interesting is if you compare the charts. So I don't know if this will show all four because I wanted it to show all four. Mm, no, it doesn't show all four. That was, oh yeah, this one. There we go. Takes a while to load. Yeah, so that's obviously the lithium price just shooting up. But if you see, Sigma Lithium is actually the lowest in terms of comparing to the other charts for other miners as well. So that gives a little bit of a gap, right? And which would mean there's a lot more potential for this stocks SGML to shoot a lot higher. And we are seeing that, right? Because if you saw all the charts, ALB, LAC, and SGML shot up the highest, I believe 78% versus the other guys. And so that was another play that was working in our favor. It just being the lowest in terms of the valuations compared to the others. Now, it's not doing too good in terms of cash because when you actually look at it, um, sorry guys, just a little lost here. I'll just go back to my charts. So if you actually look at their statements, which we shall go here, and so their current cash is only 6.10 million, and their current liabilities is, I guess, total current liabilities is 128 million. So this is what they have to pay within a year at least. And so that's another worry I have with SGML is with them pushing the price really high, or letting it run so high, is there an offering coming in play? And that could be another thing that they're looking at. Push the price quite a high, make an offering, get some cash, kind of kind of helps. Now, this is where we have to compare, right? Because with CleanSpark, which was one of my first stocks that I bought, they did a lot of offerings, but their management was quite good in terms of holding that offering, and using it for good, good investments to actually grow the business. And so, if they're going to do the same thing, that would be nice because they are also anticipating that their production will come online, I believe, in Jan. So if that does happen, you have a company that's generating revenue, that's using their offering towards expansion or whatever they need to make the business healthier in terms of the margins. And so those are all good signs. So that's what I'm looking at. Right now, we do have a buy position because obviously did break up quite high, but I'll just be watching and maybe I'll probably set up a buy at the high of this, which I doubt will ever get triggered and it might consolidate, but you never know. With how this market is looking right now in terms of just being negative, any momentum that's there on a stock in a bad macro environment will get a lot of momentum because a lot of buyers will flood to this just because it is the one that's moving. um, so yeah, interesting. And long term, it does seem quite bullish because if they're able to get over all their hurdles, keep their earnings in check, and keep their balance statements in check, there's a lot of room for the stock to grow, right? Because we're sitting at, even if we're looking at the high of there, $11, coming back to, let's say, one of the previous highs, that's a 200% move. So that's good on your money for SGML. So yeah, kind of sucky. I even made a Patreon post about it. And this was on the Monday. You say that today the stock was up 32%. And we were waiting for the end of the week. So I said, stay tuned for a post if it materializes. Um, and what was interesting was these other posts, a lot of, they were saying, is lithium the next AI play? Which I found really interesting. So because it is a huge jump, 30 to 40% growth in demand for battery metal next year, and that's the demand for lithium. So same concept as Bitcoin, and Bitcoin miners. You have, lithium and lithium miners. Usually, if the commodity goes up 30 to 40%, you're looking at miners going up 60 to 80 to maybe 200%. And that's how it is. The volatility usually is a lot higher with the miners versus the actual commodity. And so this was a pretty bullish post, I guess, in general, and which basically pushed up everything. And I believe they also talk about SGML here, and here you can see the comparison, right? So ALB jumped 8% in Monday, and SGML jumped. I just had it. Yeah, 30%. So that's you can see the difference, even though they both are different. They're lithium miners, but because of that gap in the charts, we're seeing that huge jump. So that's SGML. The other one that I wanted to talk about was our good old Bitcoin. And I mentioned in my post, sorry, in my video, that I was expecting a drop, and we did get that drop. Now the question is, how far will it drop? To me, again, my opinion, I think it'll keep dropping to maybe 70K or 60K if there is some more negative news. If not, it could rocket right back up, do this double top, like how it did over here, and then finally do its big crash. And you know, that's basically what I'm expecting. Either I'm looking for a reversal over here, seeing some buyer momentum, maybe ride that little bit of that short wave up. But yeah, I'm expecting a little bit of a drop. So it's kind of sucky. I feel like everyone wants to be bullish on crypto. I am bullish long term, but I still feel just based on the charts right now. Again, we're not trying to predict. We're just looking at what the market says and how the charts react. And look, it's looking negative for me. And Something interesting with the Bitcoin halving. So basically, this is all the Bitcoin cycles. So 2009 to 2013 that's one halving, and then 2013 to I think it's 2016-ish, that's another halving. So on and so forth. And the period between that is what they just call the halving cycle. And so what this number is saying is based on how the cycles were before, where 40% move, like 40% has happened in that cycle. Now, what is interesting is in the past, when you've done your halving and you move 40% in time, you've made your high and you're starting to make your low. Same concept in 2016 to 2020. You've made your high by 2017-ish, December, and then you start making your low, which brings it down all the way to 3,000. Same with 2020. You made your high by the 40% move. So that's like the 60%. That's what we see in over here. That 60% move, and you make your low, which was that 17 22k whatever, and that's where we bought over here. um so what you can see also with the charts, every time we're going up, our peaks are getting more and more muted, even though we are making higher highs, right? So here we went to $1,000. Here we went to almost 10 15,000, and then here we went to almost 60,000, and then now here, which is where we are, we're 120 and we're coming down a bit. It's getting more muted, and so I actually don't know what that means to be honest, because is it because there's the price is getting higher, so retail is not able to move as much, and so we need a lot of institution, and so it's not able to get that big momentum push. And we're also like seeing that in this typical rainbow chart, we're getting the high which hits, and it's showing that it's 2 or 3 years ahead of schedule. But now we're looking more in the blue region and the green region. And so yeah, I'm curious to see what's going to happen approaching 2028, and how far will it drop, right? Because that's what I'm expecting here, the drop. Um, yeah, how far will it drop? I'm hoping that it drops somewhere around 60 region and not anything more, because if it does drop more, that's a little bit concerning. But again, it is what it is. If I'll probably set up a stop loss somewhere higher maybe, because I don't want to be so much in loss. But yeah, we'll see how Bitcoin moves. Same thing we've seen with XRP. I said that we were expecting a drop, and we did get that. With XRP though, I'd like to get more of a drop, just because of the move that has happened, right? Because that's a pretty massive move, 700% move. So at least, a down 300, down 400 would be kind of nice in terms of the retrace. Um, but yeah, those are my thoughts, I guess, for this week. In terms of the stocks, I'm just watching SGML right now, and if there is anything new, it'll be first posted on Patreon. So come and check it out. Follow me over there. It's free. For the first couple of posts, or sorry, first couple of months, I guess I'll just keep it for free, just so that everyone gets an idea of it. So yeah, come and check it out, and hope you guys have a good weekend. Again, stay invested, stay confident, and in time, the markets will turn around. And yeah, I'm actually curious, actually, um, how well the strategy would do um, in a bear market, because I've only tested the strategy for the past 5 years, and so which were pretty bullish, even though crypto was in a bear cycle. But just overall, I want to know in the market, if my strategy and my scanner can pick up good um, good stocks, and good runs when everything is down. And SGML kind of gave me a little bit confidence, because um, while the market was all dumping, this was up almost 70 to 80%, which is quite reassuring, I guess. So, anyways, thank you guys for watching, and hope you guys have a good weekend.